Hi,
Hi,
how are you doing?
I'm very good and I'm very honored to be here actually. My journey started with you, so this is very homecoming in a
Yeah,
way.
and it was very interesting how that journey started also.
Yes. It's a
Uh,
very good story.
yeah, maybe we should talk about that story to just start off.
I was at an ATM haggling with my AC guy to just give me a discount on the work he had done. And I remember you and Kanu
Kanu.
Behel, were on a bike and you tapped on my car and said that would you like to audition for a part? And by that time, a series of a lot of rejections had already happened. People were already calling me old and many other things. And then I had a child, and I'm like, why are they messing with me today? So when I look back, I'm so happy that happened. I'm so happy that I went through all of those things and all of those because I wouldn't be here without that story, to be very frank.
Things always happen when we least expect them to happen. Always. So many times we plan, we have this vision that things are going to happen a certain way.
Yeah.
And then the universe has its own way of bringing things together and making things happen. I mean, it still took you where you wanted to go, but probably not in the way or at the time or in the, how you were thinking it would happen.
Yeah.
And even for me, I mean, I was the casting director. This film that we're talking about is LSD,
LSD, yes.
Love, Sex or Dhoka, Dibakar's film. And I remember that it was my first film also as a casting director.
Yeah.
And it was very strange because when I saw you, I was like, oh, it's her.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just look at somebody and I didn't even know you're an actor. And we were actually looking for a lot of non-actors. We even ended up casting a lot of non-actors.
Yeah.
So it was so weird for me to do something like this. In fact, I was feeling so embarrassed that I asked Kanu that will you start the conversation and then I'll join in, because I was feeling like how can you stop a woman on the road and ask her, hey, actor banna hai? So yeah, I'm very glad that we spotted you.
I'm so happy that it happened. Of course, I have a long way to go in terms of understanding craft and now I'm more into it because I'm out of that survival mode, I have to be honest. And that feels very, that'll never leave for actors like me. But I'm happy in my journey that I'm at a place where I'm more inquisitive and more curious about craft rather than only, okay, what's my next gig? Because that's something as freelancers, I feel like we'll never get used to it. So
it's always a struggle, no?
yeah.
Looking for work and
Yeah.
finding work and how it's going to happen. But what you just mentioned about that you're out of that survival mode,
Yeah.
I think something very fresh, something very new begins,
Yes.
and that happens.
Yes, because I think we've talked about it a lot. Where I come from, and and as artists, I feel like we suffer a lot of self-doubt. The construct of the mind is when you have these interim places and you're not really guided to do the subconscious and the conscious and the unconscious, thing. Then a lot of things are being done and you're doing them to yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like you're playing a game with yourself, with self-doubt, you're lying to yourself, you're not waking up to do the practice that you are meant to do, and you're just being hard on yourself.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that balance? Because I'm not only talking about emotional discipline, we'll come to that later, but I'm talking about just discipline when you're not motivated.
Yeah, I think it's so connected to what you just mentioned about being hard on yourself. See, the system works a certain way, and I always keep saying that acting is one of the most skewed demand supply ratio job in the world, probably, because it is. There are only so many parts, and then there are many people who are applying for those parts.
Right.
And by the time you reach where you're meant to reach, a lot of people are also vying for the same spot. So A lot of times artists, actors, we start taking these delays, these waits too personally. And we always start thinking that there's something wrong with us. And I think that's the most basic thing to address before you address anything else. See, when you talk about, okay, how to stay self-disciplined, how to do this, how to do that, these are just the causes. Where is it all coming from?
Interesting.
It is coming from being hard on yourself. It is coming from that you had expectations from yourself, you had expectations from your life. And when you see that you're not reaching those expectations or those goals that you had set out for yourself, somewhere that self-worth deep within starts reducing, and from there the will to be disciplined also gets reducing. So eventually it is all about understanding that when things are not happening, it's not because of you. It's because of a host of factors. And we end up taking it very personally, and the more we are attached to the job, to the craft, the more we are attached to that dream, the more personal that rejection becomes. You may be the best actor for that job, but acting is not the only thing. There are so many other criteria which are in the picture to decide who should play that, who will get that role eventually.
Right.
So understanding that you're not so important.
Yes.
And you're just a cog in the wheel, and things are meant to happen when a lot of factors come together.
Yeah.
And it's not up to you, and it's not just you on your shoulders, and it's not just your onus to make things happen. And we forget this.